The crystalline spires of Zephyron Prime stretched toward three setting suns, casting prismatic shadows across the diplomatic quarter where Ronnie stood, trying not to laugh at his own joke. The Galactic Council's annual Heritage Festival was in full swing, and vendors from 1,000 worlds had set up their stalls, offering everything from memory crystals to genetic fortune-telling. "Come on, Lyra," Ronnie called to his companion, a sharp-eyed human xenoarchaeologist who'd been his partner on 6 expeditions across the Andromeda sector. "Let's see if I'm secretly royalty. Maybe I'm the lost heir to some alien throne." Lyra rolled her eyes, her dark hair catching the amber light of the smallest sun. "You realize those scanners are tourist traps, right? They'll tell you whatever you want to hear for 20 credits. But Ronnie was already approaching the ornate booth, its entrance flanked by holographic dragons that shifted between colors human eyes couldn't quite name. The proprietor was a Velkari, a species known for their obsessive record-keeping and their peculiar translucent skin that revealed the soft glow of their circulatory systems beneath. "Welcome." "Welcome," the Velkari chirped, his 6 fingers dancing across a control panel that looked older than Earth's moon. "You wish to discover your heritage? Your lineage? Perhaps you are descended from warriors. Scholars, royalty? Sure, why not?" Ronnie grinned, shooting Lyra a wink. "I've always felt like a prince. Maybe it's finally time for my coronation." The Velkari's expression, insofar as humans could read Velkari expressions, seemed to freeze for a moment. "Please place your hand here." The scanner reads dermal patterns, genetic markers, and biosignature resonance. It accesses the Grand Archive, which contains records of every royal bloodline in the known galaxy. Ronnie pressed his palm against the cool surface of the scanner, still grinning. Lyra stood back, arms crossed, clearly preparing to mock whatever fabricated lineage the machine would invent. The scanner hummed. Then it shrieked. Alarms erupted across the booth. The holographic dragons vanished, replaced by cascading symbols in a dozen alien scripts. The Velkari stumbled backward, his glow pulsing erratically, a sign of extreme distress. "What the hell?" Ronnie yanked his hand back, but the damage was done. The scanner's display had frozen on a single image, a birthmark on Ronnie's left shoulder blade magnified 100 times. It was an irregular shape he'd never thought twice about, slightly darker than his skin, roughly the size of a coin. "Impossible," the Velkari whispered. "Impossible, impossible, impossible." Lyra stepped forward, her hand instinctively moving to the plasma pistol at her hip. "What's going on?" The Velkari's voice trembled. "That mark, it matches the Solaric sigil, the birthmark of the Empress's lost son." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. The what now? Ronnie's joke died in his throat. Within minutes, the booth was surrounded by galactic security, towering Kryn warriors in ceremonial armor, their forearms holding weapons that could vaporize a shuttle. Lyra had been pushed back behind a barrier, her protests drowned out by the commotion. Ronnie found himself escorted, not arrested, but definitely not free to leave, into a secured transport that whisked him toward the Council Citadel. "This is insane," Ronnie muttered to the Kryn captain beside him. "I'm from Earth, New Chicago specifically. I grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment with my mom and my sister. There's been some mistake." The Kryn's mandibles clicked in what might have been sympathy. "The scanner does not make mistakes. It has confirmed your biosignature against archives spanning 12,000 years. You bear the Solaric sigil, and your genetic markers match the imperial bloodline of the Solaric Empire." "The Solaric Empire fell 3 centuries ago," Ronnie said, dredging up half-remembered xenohistory lessons. "When the Empress's heir was abducted during the Rebellion of the 7 Sons," the captain finished. "The child was never found. The Empire collapsed without an heir. 17 systems fell into chaos. Billions died in the succession wars." Ronnie's head spun. "But I'm human. We didn't even have FTL travel 300 years ago." "The Empress's consort was human," the captain said quietly. "A diplomat named Marcus Thorne. He died defending the heir during the abduction. The child was believed to have been killed as well, but perhaps someone saved him, brought him to Earth, to safety." The transport docked at the Citadel's highest tier. Ronnie was led through corridors of living crystal, past chambers where the Council debated the fate of galaxies. Finally, they reached a vault, ancient, imposing, sealed with locks that predated most civilizations. A Velkari archivist older than the booth proprietor, her skin barely glowing, approached with a data crystal. "We have retrieved the records. The genetic comparison is conclusive. The probability of error is less than 1 in 10 trillion. They showed him images. A human man, Marcus Thorne, standing beside an alien woman whose skin shimmered like starlight. In her arms, a baby with a tiny irregular mark on his shoulder blade. The same mark Ronnie had grown up with, the one his mother had called his lucky constellation. "My mom," Ronnie said suddenly. "Sarah Mitchell, she always said she adopted me through an interstellar aid program. Said my birth parents had died in a colony disaster." The archivist nodded slowly. Sarah Mitchell was a cover identity. Her real name was Sarah Cross, an intelligence operative for Earth's early FTL program. She was also a friend of Marcus Thorne. The pieces fell into place like a collapsing star. His childhood, his mother's paranoia, the way they'd moved every few years, the combat training she'd insisted on, disguised as martial arts classes, the languages she'd taught him, languages that had only later turned out to be useful in xenodiplomacy. Lyra burst through the doors, having somehow talked her way past security. "Ronnie, are you okay?" "What's happening?" He turned to her, his face pale. "Lyra, I think I might actually be a prince." "That's not funny anymore," she said. "I know." The Velkari archivist stepped forward. "Ronnie Mitchell, also known as Ronan Saul Thorne, you are the last surviving heir of the Solaric throne. 17 systems have been waiting 3 centuries for your return. The question now is, what will you do?" Ronnie looked at Lyra, then at the assembled aliens, then back at the image of his father, a human diplomat who died for love and duty. He thought about his mother, who'd given up everything to keep him safe. He thought about the billions who died in chaos because there was no heir to unite them. He thought about the joke he'd made less than an hour ago. "Well," he said finally, "I guess I'm going to need a crown." Lyra groaned. "You're actually going to do this, aren't you?" Ronnie grinned, though his hands were shaking. "What can I say? I've always felt like a prince." But as the weight of 300 years of history settled onto his shoulders, he realized that being right had never felt so terrifying, or so inevitable. The human had joked about being royalty. The universe, it seemed, had been waiting to call his bluff, and somewhere in the vast archives of galactic memory, a scanner hummed with satisfaction, its ancient purpose finally fulfilled.